Welcome to the Automate IT podcast. I'm your host, David Van Heerden. I don't have coffee in front of me today, but I do have a Volcano Bay water cup. If you've never been, it's a fantastic water park. So with that, let's get into today's topic, which is making IT pros' lives easier. Now, this one's a funny one to talk about because I think it's very easy to complain about the things that we don't like, right? I tend to try to find the positive angle to a lot of things, but sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the attention, right? And you got to talk about the things that struggle and pain us. And oddly enough, right, there's probably few technical things that I really, really dislike. And most of what myself and my friends, I think, complain the most about generally relate to people. The things that bother us the most are those that just don't get it, or they push back on everything that we're trying to do. It's like a help me, help you kind of scenario that we fall into so many times. But we're sitting here like trying to help you get into that server. And that just requires you to follow these instructions to get in there. So please did you read the instructions that I so carefully wrote out just for you? And they sit there and ignore it and don't even read it. And we're sitting there pulling our hair off of our heads, completely frustrated at the person sitting in that chair. I think one of my favorite acronyms, growing up in the space is that of picnic, right? Problem in chair, not in computer. And I think in one of my ticketing systems, that was an actual tag that we had put on some tickets as to why they were resolved suddenly or without any additional note taking for the resolution reason. We would just say picnic ticket. And that was it. There was a surprising number of picnic tickets. So how do we make our lives easier when our lives are centered so much around the people that are using the technology that we are responsible for making sure it works all the time? And I think that those kinds of conversations are maybe the more uncomfortable ones that we have to approach. But there's this really helpful framework that Tom Boyer, our director of IT and security here at Automox, brought to the team internally, which was this lecture on I know he didn't come up with it. I just cannot remember the name of the university that he got it from. But it was this or military, maybe, because he has a military background. But it was something of the adaptive challenge against the technical challenge. And so we can sort of talk about, like in my last podcast, I talked about multi-factor authentication as something that is a problem, a challenge that we have to overcome as IT and businesses overall. It's become a requirement inside of Microsoft Suite for all accounts to have them enabled. It's a requirement across basically every regulatory body that exists now, is that you have to have those kinds of controls put in your access control policy. And so IT teams are pressed to implement it. And we're sort of struggling with the policy interpretation to be like, do we really have to put MFA on every laptop login or computer screen or tablet? That's crazy. And generally the answer is that iPad that's sitting there needs to have multi-factor on it because it has access to a sensitive resource. So you got to mitigate that in some way. And how painful is it to bring that conversation to that operations manager, to the marketing team, to the sales folks and say, hey, yeah, when you have to show that tablet during your sales pitch to a customer that just walked in, you're going to have to pull out your phone that you maybe left at your desk because it's rude to have your phone out in front of a customer to get a 6-digit code and put that in. And that entire interaction is now just terrible for that salesperson because now they feel like they're bogged down by technology. And then now they're talking bad about IT and security to their colleagues, to the customers, and you're just in a bad spot altogether. And it doesn't feel good. None of this feels good. And so what I'm talking about when I'm communicating the story is that that is an adaptive challenge and a technical challenge to meet. Technically, you've met the requirement, you've implemented a technical solution that sends the multi-factor code to the phone or it rotates the key on the app and they just got to put it in. It's this little extra step, this extra part in the procedure, but we got to do it because security says so. And so we found a technical solution for this, but that's not a solution towards the adaptive problem that has to be addressed. That adaptive problem is the user adoption. The adaptive problem is the emotion side of it, the logical side of it from the end user piece and how they have to experience technology in the way that you've implemented a technical solution. And so we often, I think, overlook the adaptive challenges that our technical solutions don't solve and don't match. And I want to unpack a little bit a very effective way that you can bring to approach these adaptive problems, which is the communication and the teamwork building side of things when it comes to IT. Now, if you're at the system administrator level, you are an incredible part of this, as is help desk an incredible part of this. Because as you are implementing the technical solution, you have your marching orders to get this done. You have your blessing from your manager and your boss to just go and execute. You need to ask that question up the front and say, how do I help the users receive this? What is our communication plan? How am I a part of meeting the adaptive challenge here? So giving an example and sticking with that multi-factor thing in that sales rep, what if when you as the sysadmin or the help desk person am approaching the sales team about this, and you say, hey, we have this technical solution. This is what we believe we have to do to get this done. What do you think, right? And they'll sit there and they'll tell you exactly what they think. This is terrible. This is awful for the guest experience, blah, 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 right? They give you all the reasons why this is bad. And you say, yeah, I agree. This is terrible. Like me walking into a sales shop and then I just have to stand there and wait while someone fumbles around with an iPad because technology is difficult, right? For your average user. I would think that this place doesn't have their stuff together. I would think that their technology is poor. And I would be validated in that impression because the salesperson's complaining about the technology as well. And I don't want this company, I don't want my work to be associated with such a negative thing. So now you and that salesperson are on the same page. You have the same goal and objective of delivering a great first impression to that potential customer, to that customer. And so now when we're talking about how do we adapt this technical problem to solve this human problem, this people problem, and you can start to brainstorm a little bit where they say, well, isn't there another way? Can we possibly just remove some of the access that we have on that iPad? Because really what we're trying to do with that iPad is just collect information and send it off into another app or service. And then you say, oh, well, actually, yeah, we can restrict what that iPad has access to, give it a different user account that is read only towards, a certain, sheet. And then maybe we have a different piece of technology that receives the user data, that it doesn't give access to change anything or view anything. It's just a one-way funnel to dump some data in. And so now that regulatory compliance requiring MFA on that device is removed, right? The technical solution it has adapted itself to change to the real world application for the use case for that end user. And I say this right from a place of privilege. It's a luxury to be able to pick and choose what you need in order to solve a problem. But that's where I think there's a lot of beauty in the vendors that you have partnered with you in your organization, right? Your SaaS vendors, your tech providers, your MSPs, everyone around you in the tech space wants that outcome. They want that success to happen around this technology. And so it's the important step is asking the question, presenting that proper adaptive challenge up the chain. So you as a technologist trying to implement a technological solution to a technical problem, if you're not receiving the guidance of, hey, this is the adaptive thing that we need to worry about, and this is the problem that we're trying to solve from a user adoption perspective, you need to ask that question upwards. You need to bring that challenge up. You're the technical person. You know how to navigate and solve the problems. That's what's fun to do. But if those questions aren't being asked, then you're being failed as a technologist to be able to solve those adaptive problems with technology. And if you're a manager listening to this or a leader on that front, it's incredibly important because buy-in is a term that I think we hear get thrown around a lot. You need buy-in, you need end user buy-in, customer buy-in, partners buy-in. And how do you get that buy-in, right? It's that commonality of the problem to say we are on the same team to solve the same problem and deliver the same outcome, which is a fantastic end user experience, right? A valuable product with minimal cost, easy management, like all the possible goals that we have. And I think one of the, in my imaginary world with this lovely story that I'm telling, you with the salesperson who sees now what has to be done, they understand that it's a problem that you both agree needs to be addressed in the right way, which is leaving the right impression on the customer. Maybe your budget gets a little bit unlocked because that salesperson says, I hate this. This is ruining my ability to do sales. You go, yeah, we can solve this with a technological solution that's a little more complicated or a little more time and effort. But that means I need to get a contractor in that can set up these new tools for us. Or that means I need to buy a more advanced multi-factor authentication tool. And by doing that means a little bit extra spend. But do we think that's worth it? Right? From a leadership, a business investment perspective, is it worth the extra $10,000 for that upgrade on the SaaS product to then deliver that smoother end user experience on the sales floor, right? And that same kind of conversation of, get it done right, get it done quick, or get it done cheaply. Pick two. There's that very strong conversation that you as leaders need to have with those that have to buy into the problems that you're trying to solve. So again, it's all about hey, I'm not the one causing you the pain. We both have the pain because it's this bigger thing than both of us. I'm on your side to try and deliver the best thing possible in your role, in your job. Because, hey, if you can't sell, we can't make money. If you can't market, we can't make money. If you can't operate your machinery or get your job done, then we can't function. Everybody's job here matters. So I agree with you that the implementation of this is going to be painful and difficult. So let's collaborate and say how we can make the right investments to solve this adaptive problem with technology as best as possible. Investing in the experts that can solve those sort of things, or investing in your own team and giving them the time and space to solve it properly. I think at the end of the day, it's a very important thing that we understand the empathy being such an important part of our work, and sitting down with those that have to solve problems with us. And we're not the ones that know everything and know how to fix it and have already solved it, and they just need to get out of the way and let us do it. We have to approach it with a much more humble and empathetic approach to get that proper buy-in and ideally investment from up top, from their leaders and yours. So thank you for listening to my soapbox. This, I believe, will be the last one for me. Keep an eye on my LinkedIn to see where I'm heading next. But it's been a pleasure having this opportunity to talk with you all. I'll be handing the reins over to someone very special. I think the announcement should be coming out along with this. So yeah, I'll keep you all posted. Take care.